Well, everyone, the Google Pixel 6a just came out, so let's go and compare it against the iPhone XR and see how they both hold up. Now, if you want to pick up either one of these phones, the links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, Google did also send me out the Pixel 6a, which is very interesting because they sent me out the other Pixel phones too, and I've always kind of been super critical of them. I will say with the Pixel 6, they did a good job. The Pixel 5, I think they did a great job. But now between the iPhone XR, this is easily one of my favorite phones still. And you can pick up one of these iPhone XRs for about $250 to about $300. In the next few months, that's going to go down a little bit more because the iPhone 14s are going out. But what's very interesting is that on the front, they have almost the same type of display size. The iPhone XR, which came out in 2018, has a 6.1-inch IPS panel. It's a pretty decent panel. The resolution isn't that high at all, but it's not a bad panel. You still have the notch. You have kind of a thicker bezel all around compared to the Pixel 6a, but a big thing to keep in mind is that the iPhone 13 still have notches. The iPhone 14's base models are still rumored to have notches too, so it's not really that big of a deal. On the Pixel 6a, on the other hand, we have a 6.1-inch OLED display, and this is a very good panel. Personally, I've been looking at this panel, I've been using it, and I think it's a pretty good panel. I do say the viewing angles on the iPhone XR, maybe actually they're about the same honestly when I'm looking at it. The Pixel 6a panel is good, both at 60 Hz, whole punch display here, so I will say the panel overall is probably better on the Pixel 6a just because we are rocking a OLED display, but I still think the XR's panel isn't that bad, especially considering this is 1080p and this is like 750p or something like that. Now in terms of thinness and thickness, what's very interesting is that the Pixel 6a is a little bit thinner. I think they're both almost exactly the same thing. You're getting a ringer switch here as well as the volume up and down button, aluminum build on both, so both of them feel very, very premium, and a USB Type-C on the bottom of the Pixel 6a, Lightning on the bottom of the iPhone XR, and on the back, very interesting setup. We have a single camera setup with a glass back on the iPhone XR, Apple logo right here. The Pixel 6a, on the other hand, has a full-on glass back as well with a dual camera setup. So when I feel both in the hand, they both feel very, very premium. The main thing to keep in mind, though, both have IP certification, but the iPhone XR has wireless charging. The Pixel 6a does not have any wireless charging. Now, is that a big deal? To be honest, for me personally, not at all. I never wirelessly charge my phone anymore, and I just almost recommend just plugging it in and going that way. But I like having the option. You know, if I'm in a pinch, if I'm going somewhere and they only have a wireless charger, which basically never happens, I like having the ability of wirelessly charging it, and you don't have the ability here, which is kind of annoying. So when it comes down to that, the iPhone XR may kind of win there a little bit. But for the Pixel 6a being a $449 brand new device, that's actually pretty interesting for sure. Now, in terms of software, both these are great because they're both rocking stock software, but with the iPhone XR, it did come out in 2018. It's looking like it's on its one of the last versions of software. It's probably going to be getting iOS 17, potentially iOS 18 as well. I'm just praying that we end up getting iOS 18 on this device, but it's tough to see what this future of this device is going to hold. It's going to be lasting, 3 more years, probably not, maybe 2 more years, and maybe 30-year security updates. The Pixel 6a, on the other hand, I think it's getting 3 more years of full OS updates and then a year of security updates. So either or, these phones realistically are really not going to be lasting too much longer than each other. More potential though, the Pixel 6a is going to outlast the iPhone XR, but that's still very interesting to me that a 2018 iPhone is still kind of keeping up for the most part compared to a Pixel 6a that just came out, which is more of a budget phone, so keep that in mind. The iPhone XR wasn't really a budget phone, but it was kind of weird, so that kind of covers it out there. Now let's go into a speed comparison between both these devices. The iPhone XR has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. The Pixel 4a has that Google Tensor chipset inside of it with 6 gigabytes of RAM, so twice the amount of RAM here. So let's go see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background as you guys can tell, so let's get into it. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And the Pixel 6a is here, iPhone XR is here, hopping out, and I do have the gestures on here. Let's go into their app stores, 3, 2, 1. And the Pixel 6a was faster here. The Android Play Store is so much faster to load up than the App Store for some reason on iPhones. I'm not really too sure why. Scrolling through, it does kind of seem to me that the iPhone XR is giving me a smoother experience. I've seen a few complaints of the Pixel 6a's display, but I've seen a lot of Androids that have that kind of thing, so it's really not that big of a deal. Let's go and get into Google Photos, or just their Photos app. 3, 2, 1. I think the iPhone XR did kind of win there. Let's go into their cameras. 3, 2, 1. And kind of the same thing too, not really that crazy big of a deal. Let's go and take a photo. So we do not have live mode on the iPhone XR. We don't have dark mode ability on the XR, so keep that in mind. The 6a does have that capability. Let's go and get into their internet browsers, 3, 2, 1. we were on two different panels here, so we'll just kind of let that one slide. We do have a few of these third-party applications between both. We do have something like, Snapchat. Let's load that up, 3, 2, 1. I am logged in here. I am not logged in here, so keep that in mind. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. Kind of the same thing, two different panels, but kind of the same thing. Instagram, 3, 2, 1. I may be logged in here, and I'm not, and I think the Pixel 6a won that one. Let's go and do Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. A little pop-up there. I hate when that happens. And another pop-up here. So we will have to kind of shift that a little bit. I will probably say that the Pixel 6a was probably still going to win there, but it was still very, very close between them, if I'm being honest. Okay, if those pop-ups didn't happen, you kind of have to give it a little bit of slack. Let's go and get into play. Let's go see what the graphics are. I think they're going to be roughly around the same thing. It's not really going to be that big of a difference here, but still for a 4-year-old phone on the iPhone XR, it's keeping up fairly well. Now I do want to load into their settings panel because that is something that probably a lot of people are going to be doing. 3, 2, 1. And I thought I didn't even click on the Pixel 6a, but I did. A little bit of a glitch time on the Pixel 6a there. I'm not really too sure why that happened like that, but it's something that could happen, it's totally okay. Let's get into their clocks, 3, 2, 1. Pixel 6a I think was opening up a little bit faster, but I'm seeing something where the Pixel 6a is a little bit kind of glitchy when it clicks onto something. It's not a crazy big deal, but it is one of those things that I've kind of seen a few times already, which is very interesting. We can try contacts, 3, 2, 1. And I will say when it comes down to it, at least from the few things that I've kind of tested, there are some flip-flopping things going on. It looks like the iPhone XR I think is the smoother phone overall. When I'm going through and I'm clicking on an application, I'm just kind of going from there. It seems like the iPhone XR is the smoother one overall. But the Google Pixel 6a I think is the faster one, which is expected. For a phone that just came out with one of the newer chipsets that Google has made, you should expect to see a faster phone from the Pixel 6a, but the smoother phone still is the iPhone XR. That's kind of what I'm seeing here. It's not like a groundbreaking achievement, but if you want the smoother phone, the XR is probably the better way to go. But the Pixel 6a I think is the faster one when it came down to it. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. Now in terms of the camera setup, what's very interesting is they both are very decent. Now like I said, neither one of these phones were supposed to be the flagships of their year. The iPhone XR with its single 12 megapixel lens, the Google Pixel 6a with pretty much a two 12 megapixel sensors, a wide and an ultra wide sensor. I like having an ultra wide sensor here, but the iPhone quality has always been pretty good. 4K 60 on the back of both these, 1080p on the front of both these as well. Now with the iPhone XR, like I've mentioned before, its single camera was pretty decent when it first came out. It just was missing a little bit of what other phone manufacturers had. Even what Apple had at that time, which was a dual camera setup, this one had a single camera setup. It's still a but it still is a pretty decent lens. If you're going through and you're just taking, random photos, utilizing video mode, portrait mode, it's still a pretty decent lens. And one thing that both these phones kind of lack out in is pretty much features. Compared to things like Samsung, iPhones and Pixels don't have crazy amounts of features built in. Even with the iPhone 13, we only pretty much got cinematic mode and that was it. With this phone, it's still a pretty good lens, but I want you to look at how easy and nice it is to zoom in and out. It is so nice, even on video mode. It is like instantaneous. On the Pixels, on the other hand, and with most Android phones, it's kind of a weird, glitchy experience. So when we make our way over to our camera application, I will say the quality of these lenses are pretty good, and I will say the quality is probably better than the iPhone XR. But look at the zooming in and out; it is a lot more glitchier here than it was on the iPhone XR. Not really too sure why. Even if I was going in and out on the just the standard wide-angle lens, still is a little bit more glitchier. If I make my way over to my video camera, it's also even just scrolling through to the video camera was a little glitchy. But you can just see how glitchy it is here too. So I will say the quality on the Pixel 6a is still very good. I like this quality a lot. But I think the iPhone XR has a little bit of an edge up when it comes down to the actual zooming in and out capability and the overall smoothness of that application too. But I still think the quality of the Pixel 6a lenses are probably better when it comes down to it. And that kind of takes us to the end of the video. And if I'm being honest, I do think the Pixel 6a is probably the overall better phone. You're getting a newer phone with, a faster phone arguably. You're getting more RAM. You're getting kind of a better camera setup on this phone too. But this isn't necessarily, in my opinion, like apples to apples. This is a 2022 device that's a budget tier kind of phone, but this is a 2018 $749 phone. So this phone at its release was $300 more than this one in 2018. Nowadays, like I mentioned, this phone costs almost like half this one, not quite half, maybe like $250, $300. But this is still a very good phone with a Pixel 6a. But what's very interesting to me is that with the iPhone XR, For it being a 2018 phone, this one surprised me more. With the Pixel 6a, I was expecting it to be better and faster, but this phone still has some advantages. You have wireless charging on this phone, still a pretty good camera setup. It wasn't that much slower than the Pixel 6a. I think it even beat it a couple times. You're also getting a smoother phone, in my opinion, on the iPhone XR. It's still probably going to be lasting another 2 years of software updates, even if it gets iOS 16 and 17, and then maybe a year of security updates. That's still another like 2-3 years, so you're still getting a long-lasting phone here. You can get it cheaper now than the Pixel 6a as well. So I would probably tell you, if you have a 10R or if you're wanting to be part of the Apple ecosystem, this is a perfect phone to get into it. I think the Pixel 6a is great if you want to go stock Android, and I don't really think you can make a bad choice here, but it's more so surprising that a 2018 iPhone is still keeping up with the budget phone of this year. So I would love to hear your thoughts about this. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.